What's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I was just watching academics so got like 3 or 4 hours of him breaking down the footage and everything, trying to be more or less like an extension of what the culture is right now as it pertains to celebrity, particularly black celebrity, rapper celebrities, deaths, and the internet trying to solve the case. He got a whiff of people, the internet being excited about that during the Dolph murder situation. So now he wants to kind of be the guy on that wave this time. He don't want to miss out on that attention. And my thing is, like, this is the problem with the era we're in. Nobody wants to be a trailblazer for stepping away from what works as it pertains to, we're in a world where what works is anything that's controversial. And I think a lot of people are naive as to think that certain things they affect with trying to chase the numbers won't have a reverberating effect on other things that are going on that other people might have interest in or whatever. As I look at him solving the case, or trying his best to solve the case with the information available to him, his mindset is, well, the detectives are doing this anyway. So whatever's going on here is already available. I'm just doing the due diligence with the public information around me. But I always understand that there's a disconnect there, because just because something is made public does not mean that the public is doing the due diligence to look into it. And when someone digs through things that are public and does that work, it's a different thing, and puts it on a big platform where it's exposed to millions of people outright just because it's on that platform, it's a different thing. And a lot of people say, oh, it's public, it's public, it's public. No, public is not public. When I promote something that's public versus when I just post something on my Instagram, it's still public, but it's a very different thing. And we need to be aware of the fact that people are trying to play that game like that ain't a real thing. It's a real thing. Just because something public and you bring light to it in a different way does not mean that you haven't now made it regular conversation, as opposed to something that someone could happen to think up, maybe have a conversation with someone else, and then proceed to go look for this information as to which they'd have to put it together themselves. It's a very different thing. And the problem with this is what ACK is doing and what the internet does when they do stuff like this is they put these platforms and the people like ACK, they put themselves in danger, because it's not harmless when you are solving cases on the internet, because you're not just solving the case you're focused on. You are also providing details to other circumstances that may tie other cases together for those who don't have answers for things that they're looking at behind the scenes. You're helping the detectives with things that help them put 2 and 2 together. Now, mind you, they may be able to do that on their own, but like I said, it's a whole different story when someone else is doing the work for me, as to which all I got to do is look at the work you've done and say, oh crap, weigh it against the work I got. You made my life 10 times easier. And most importantly, hey, well, I didn't know that guy knew that guy, but I know it now because he did the homework in this case, so I can put it over here. And this is why it gets dangerous. Because you're covering up the blind spots of things you think you can control. Yeah, I'm focused on this case, so I know the people who are after me are going to be after me. And when we arrest those people, I'm safe because we got that case taken straight. It's like, nah, you don't see the blind spot. Now you didn't solve a whole nother case. A whole nother case, and have nothing to do with what it is you're focused on. Now you didn't put 2 and 2 together. And look, it gets like this. You didn't solve the case for the detectives. Oh, no. No, you didn't solve the case for the detectives. You solved the case for the opportunist who are looking at that situation from an entirely different angle, who are now going to take advantage because of the information you provided. It didn't have to be the cops. It could have been the ops. Someone else's ops. And I was looking at that and say, oh, so that dude is that. So that's who that was. Oh, you were telling people where other people are in situations that ain't got nothing to do with what you're focused on. And I know Ack ain't thinking about that, because he's thinking about his ratings. He's thinking about what worked for other bloggers and how he ain't going to be second. But what I'm saying is, now you got about 8 or 9 other people looking at you, mad at you about something that ain't got nothing to do about with what you're doing. Nothing at all. And you don't know it. You never even find this out until it's too late, until they're in your face. Why are you coming after me? Because you solved the case. What did you solve? I was thinking about this and I was trying to figure out Takeoff. No, you didn't solve Takeoff. You didn't solve Takeoff. You solved such and such that took place several months before that, because we've been looking for this fool and he was in the stream that you said you saw because he was standing next to the person you were focused on. So it's like, people beholding of power do not always understand how far that power can reach. When you can do certain things and do certain other things, you are doing a lot more than what it is that you're focused on, just by the sheer nature of things being connected. And so that's why I get on here and I say, look, all y'all trying to go after these ratings, all of you guys trying to do certain things for numbers, all of you guys who are very certain of what the world is, and because you do certain things, now the world is right. What I'm telling you is there are blind spots to what it is you're looking at, blind spots that you can't see that you affect, but most definitely do affect. And when you do affect it, now you create more blind spots that you can't see nor even know are there, that create more blind spots. I'm trying to tell you, the world is interconnected in such a way that a lot of times the people who have the ability to sway the world do not understand. They don't understand this. Their minds can't comprehend this, but they have the power to move things that affect all of these things. And that is the problem. And then people make mistakes and then they tell lies. And then those lies cover up other mistakes. And they got to tell lies to cover up those other lies. And then the situation goes far and far and far beyond anybody's true understanding of what it is that they're actually dealing with. You can only see what your angle allows you to see and what it is your reach allows you to touch. But that don't mean that's all you're able to affect. And so, as I look at Ak and I see him out here really excited because he's getting the ratings, and then I look at some of the other entities in the world around him and they are telling him that you're making a mistake, and a mistake that they don't appreciate. And I'm looking at them saying, you're making mistakes by saying that, because obviously he's attached to some people that can clearly say, oh, so you want to threaten him, huh? All right, let's put you away. All of this is very much controlled, and that's why I get frustrated because I listen to Ak Stream and basically what he's trying to reinforce to his groups, his chat ends. That's what he calls them, chat ends, even though it's a lot of variety of people, you know, but he's letting them in and allowing them to call themselves a chat ends. So okay, whatever. Ak is a brother from, he's an African brother. African roots, but I think he's from Jamaica. He's not African American. He don't have the roots of the ancestors and all that stuff that we always talk about. He's not U.S. black, and there's a thing for that because a lot of times I've found that there's a disconnect in the understanding of why certain things are. Like, you're certain black people in this country are a certain way, but what you may not know is certain behind the understanding type of things for why things are. So, and most importantly, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, they have a certain position to where they're trying to appeal to the majority because obviously the majority rules the land. They look at us as a disadvantaged people, so it doesn't benefit them at all when they're trying to be successful to cater to us in any way or otherwise try to help us out of our circumstances. It's sad, but it's true. Black people did sell black people into slavery, so we can't act like every black person wants to see black people rise. Some just want to see themselves rise and will stand on black people's shoulders to see that happen. And so, because I understand that dynamic, I look at Ak and I don't know how to take what it is that he's saying when he says black culture is violent culture. And violent culture is black culture. Yes, that is messed up and it's horrible, and it is something that we need to work on. But I don't know that we can work on it without taking the suggestive nature of some of the stuff that's been invested in, as I've been talking about a lot. The music, the culture overall has been invested in for years and years and years. So of course people are going to adapt to that. You have to be a very unique thinker to be able to work outside of the norms that are being suggested to you, embeddedly, inherently, especially when we are people of culture. So once we adapt to a certain culture, it's like you look crazy if you're not adapting to that culture. If that culture happens to be negative in nature, the situation remains. You still better align with that culture, or you're going to be looked at as outsiders. So we being a brave people, a strong people, not afraid of fighting, we just adapt to the natural ability of being warriors, because we can do that. Now, I think the disconnect for a lot of people in different cultures is that they don't understand why we continue to reinforce negative energy within ourselves, negative cultures within ourselves that end up destroying our numbers. But the reality is, it's because we live in a world where we're suggested to do so. We have that energy in us that makes us do that already. We have the long embedded pain and anguish and disturbing, traumatizing, mind warping crap that has taken place in this country for 400 years that has made us a little crazy. Like, just be honest with you. It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly the black consciousness because we really don't know who we are. That's to where a guy like Ak knows exactly who he is. He's from Jamaica. And he's trying to come here and he's trying to be a media person. And in this place, he's found that the people here are always running around doing in stuff, as he says, in stuff, in word stuff. And he don't understand it. And he wants people to stand up and rise, and he wants crime to stop. And he wants to live in a world where everybody can just get it right. And then from there, we can all be together. But that's as I always say, in this country, you got to understand that we are in a space where the level from which everyone is standing is not, it's not the same. It's not. It's like this, some people up here, some people down here, some people down there, but it's almost as if people are supposed to align as if they're on the same space, but not everybody acknowledges their positioning in the same space. It's like as a person, as this particular black person, I say, okay, we're at a certain disadvantage and we're gonna need to get to a certain level. Some black people don't even believe they're on that level, and they think everybody who's underneath that level is bringing the rest of us down. Other people think it's a lot of different things. There's no single black consciousness, right? So it's easy to divide us when we have that going on, and then you have certain suggestive things that are in place that are just inherently there, because it's like, yo, for example, you can't be labeled anti-Semitic. As we talked a great deal about that. That's one thing, that's a black rule that we just can't, you cannot let that happen. Black butt that not do that, right? It's just certain things that are in place that make us inherently rebellious against certain things, depending on the person, right? It's like, this is in place, so either I can be rebellious to it or agree to it, but you do have to react to it because it's in place for you. So it's a lot of stuff like that, to where if you don't come from this country, you come to this country, you don't have those agreements. You don't have those things to work through, and most importantly, you certainly don't understand what the hell you're looking at when you look at someone like myself who may have those agreements, or the confusion of those agreements trying to work through them, right? So I look at a guy like Ak, I'm like, bro, you don't understand. It seems to me that the people that you are trying to put away are the people that need to be in the house in order to keep the household strong in a lot of cases. The snitching rule is out there not because black people don't want to see crimes get solved. It's because when the crimes get solved, the father leaves the home. The breadwinner is to the bad guy, right? Your nephew, your cousin, they the ones doing the shooting. And so it's like the disconnect in this country is that 9 out of 10 people who are looking at the situation, they don't relate to that. The family household structure is fine, it's intact. What they're trying to do is protect it. They're trying to protect the structure that is intact, and we're the antagonists that would otherwise threaten that. So anytime we come together, it's a problem, because when we come together, we threaten that. Anytime we start an uprising against the injustices that we perceive, that's a problem, because otherwise these injustices are the balance that allows them to have the comfort from which they exist. We have to be in balance and not comfortable in order for them to be comfortable. And once we start trying to mold the world to become what it is that makes us comfortable, so on and so forth. You see the cycle. So it's like, I don't think that dynamic is quite understood, and I think that the suggestive nature of what black people are supposed to be, threatening, evil, gangster, whatever the moniker is, it gets lost in that. It gets lost in that. That the position is not that people want to reinforce negative behavior, it's just that they're trying to survive. And a lot of times the negative behavior is a byproduct of needing to survive. I'm going outside, I'm robbing somebody because I can't make it. Or I don't know how. Too ignorant to, whatever the case. But the point is, this is what people are doing, they know how to do. So if I know a little better and my cousin is doing some bad stuff, what am I gonna do? Want to see him in jail for the rest of his life? I don't think so. Maybe I don't give a damn about him, but I'm thinking about grandma. That's grandma grandbaby. Now he ain't doing nothing positive out here, but if I snitch on him or I let you snitch on him, guess what happens to grandma? She probably gonna have a heart attack, y'all. She ain't gonna make it. You see what I'm saying? That's the disconnect. You look at the people online, they're like, yeah, put them away. I don't know why black people did that. Black people did that. It's like, because that's grandma's grandbaby that you're snitching on. Now, in your household, grandma grandbaby is a nurse. Or you know what I'm saying? Or grandma grandbaby is a bus driver. Or grandma bad grandbaby is a football coach. But in this scenario, in this crab in the barrel bucket, when everybody's fighting over the same bag, and everybody's being told that they nothing, everybody's being told they don't matter, everybody's told it's their fault that they don't matter too, and everybody's told that they're supposed to be overcoming the suggestive nature of the culture that they've been, had pressed upon them for many, many years, right? They're supposed to overcome that, be trailblazers in the midst of all of that culture, and just be like the people who are not anywhere near them, who are telling them they need to be like them. But the disconnect of all these different things that they don't relate to, that if they were in this situation, they would have to adjust to. You know, now if we get to a situation where the bad guy happens to be the white dad in the home, and they're constantly pulling him out of the house and constantly putting the music on TV telling us how bad he is, and or the images on TV telling us how much of a threat he is, and then, you know, we see slowly but surely the prison industrial system cater itself to removing the white father from the home. Once we start seeing that as a balance, then we can start saying, okay, now we're on the same plane. We need to start figuring out how we can find the balance from here, because everything is obviously on the same plane. But half the time, people don't even relate to one another in this country. You know, people over there don't understand why I don't want my cousin thrown in jail. You know what I'm saying? But then those same people will do everything they can to assure that their cousins have opportunities and positions that they can put them in. They engage in nepotism, right? But then they don't understand why I wouldn't want to put my uncle in prison for murder. You know, for murdering somebody who may have killed my cousin. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, this is understood. These are adaptable lifestyles that you would have to find yourself in if you found yourself in these places, in these realities. Now, because you don't never have to do that, maybe you don't have a heart for that, maybe you don't care, whatever. But if for some reason the tables turn, if the world were to change in some weird way and you were in these situations and it flipped, and now we're looking at you like, yo, you need to tell on your uncle, because it will make us safe if you do. And you need to tell on him, you need to have him thrown away. I don't care how many uncles have already been thrown in jail. I don't care how many breadwinners you've already had removed from your family, which have caused more people to come out wild and not being able to take care of themselves. I don't care how many generations of this you've been dealing with. In 2022, you need to continue doing this, because that's what makes me feel safe. What's the problem? Lock him up. What are you waiting for? Call. You know that man doing what you know he's breaking the law, right? I'm waiting for you to call the police on your uncle, because you know he's breaking the law, right? You're not gonna do that. I know you're not gonna do that because you love your uncle. And mind you this, in your world, what your uncle did ain't seen the same way as the people on the outside who look at what your uncle did, because you're used to a certain norm. This is going on all the time outside. You really have to deal with this stuff. Now, the people who are watching you, no, they're watching you. They're watching from the comfort of their own home and the environments where this doesn't take place. They can go outside 3 a.m, they're in a household, in their neighborhood, and sit on the lawn and have no problem, right? But they want to tell people who can't do that how to live in those environments and how best to make them feel comfortable while they're not anywhere near those environments. And this is something that's acceptable to us. You see what I'm saying? We let people who don't know tell people who do know how to live in circumstances that they've never been a part of, that they don't even know what to do when they get into those situations. These are places they stay far away from, but they want to control the people in those places. And then when those people say, no, this is what's actually going on, they say, no, that's not what's going on. I'm telling you what's going on, because clearly I'm, what exactly, in a position to tell me more so about what I'm dealing with in myself? Apparently. Like, the disconnect, it's a norm that isn't normal. We've reached a place where black people have been treated so weird. I'm not even going to say poorly. I'm just going to say weird. To where now it's like the cultures of treating these people, my people, trash, and the culture of treating people fair are meeting the road. It's like, well, wait a minute. How can we find ourselves in a place where we can say we're treating everybody fair if we spent the majority of what we've been doing exploiting these people? See, it was always okay when we were doing it to them, because we never looked at them as people. Now that we look at them as people, I guess, kind of ish people, we got to admit that all the stuff that we've been doing, it made no sense up to this point. We got to admit that a lot of stuff that we've been defining doesn't define it balanced or in a way that's balanced for them, or in a way that makes sense for all of us, since we're not all starting from the same spot. You know, it's just crazy to me how we can just continue to have these agreements, and then when people step up and say, yo, this doesn't make sense, and we could see the hypocrisy in it, people still sitting there like, are we sure we're ready to tell the truth? Or we need to continue to reinforce the lies, I guess, is what I'm seeing when I look at people like Shaq and Reggie Miller and all these guys that I grew up appreciating, and now I see we hit the rubber meets the road when it's time to have a real spiritual conversation about black people. When it's time to have a real conversation about what we're learning. Some of our biggest, most important figures are like, nah, I'm rolling with the white guys. We're gonna keep our check going. Nah, I respect that I'm black, but not that black to be sitting up, put up with that. Nah, you ain't gonna ruin my bag. I just signed a contract. You ain't about to do that. Kyrie's an idiot. Kanye's an idiot. And everybody's an idiot that's not rolling with what we're doing because we got to keep our checks. So, sorry. And I'm just looking at all y'all like, man, your legacy is going to be affected by this. Because the social norms of what we understand, as I've been preaching for the last 4 days, it's changing. It's changing, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get to just do this to black folks. You don't get to have the double standard of exploiting us and then having us sit back and be cool, or having us sit back and having us believe lies about what it is that's being told to us. Or my favorite one, the "you're crazy" one. I love that one. That's my favorite one that y'all use. You're crazy. This isn't actually happening. You know, the gaslighting. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's why it's so important these type of conversations be had, man. And this is why. Because I'm looking up and I'm seeing academics online. He's solving cases to throw more black people away for whatever's going on out there. And I'm just looking up and I'm saying, what you're seeing, all the people are supporting you, is because there's a grand majority of people that really don't understand or care anything about black problems. And they're afraid of black people because they've been taught to be. So they're definitely going to want you to pull the black father out of the house. They're definitely going to want you to solve every black case. And they're definitely not going to ask you to pay any attention to anybody white doing anything of the sort. They're not. And they're going to look at you and they're going to say, good job, Ag. Just like they did to Overseer. Stop telling people black culture is violent culture. You're reinforcing what it is that ultimately destroys us. Yeah. You're catering to the problem, sir. You are telling non-black people things about black people that are not accurate. That is not our culture. It's not. It's something that's been imported into our heads deliberately over time. We've adapted to it. That's what it is. The proof is everywhere. So let's just be honest. We didn't drum up this stuff on our own. Never did. Even though they want us to think we did. The devil will always tell you that he does not exist. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.